A self-serving girl decided to marry a rich old man in order to take all his money. She was dumbfounded when she found out how the old man decided to teach her a lesson. Money, that's all that was needed in the world. What use for anything else did Jacklyn need in life? Friends were fleeting. They only came into your life when you had something to offer and then left. Family were only moochers. They begged and begged for every scrap you had because they felt entitled to what you earned. Charity was even worse than family and friends. What good did they offer when they were too poor to get themselves out of the muck they wallowed in? No, for Jacklyn, the only thing that she wanted and desired was money and wealth. All that glittered was gold, after all, and she was young, vivacious, and beautiful. The type of woman with elegance and beauty that made heads turn, other women jealous, and husbands want to leave wives for. Long legs, thin waist, big bust, sultry eyes, and a smoky voice. She looked good in heels and a skirt, and walked with confidence and bravado. However, even Jacklyn knew that time was a crueler mistress than herself. Despite being 25, she knew that her looks would eventually fade. Those heads would turn back towards the younger models, and the parts of herself that gave her the attention she craved would sag and lose their luster in time. Her desperation to ensure her future drove her forward into a frenzy of activity to seek out a mate and partner that could give her exactly what it was she craved. A large bank account, a big house, and men just crawling and begging for a mote of her time and affections, and deem them worthy of her kisses. When Jacklyn Evans found her prize, the love of her life in the form of the elderly millionaire Pierre Rostrom, and his fat bank account of $56 million. She thought that she hit the jackpot on Christmas morning at all once. What was there not to love about the man, aside from the whole love part of it all? He was 76, in failing health, had a lot of money, and enjoyed having the sexy, sweet, attractive wife that was the love of his life. Aside from the fact that he was almost 50 years her senior, and that she didn't really enjoy his company, and that she just smiled as flakily as she could whenever he was around. Other than that, it was practically a match made in heaven. Married life for Jacklyn suited her well, especially when it came with money attached to it all. While her husband couldn't enjoy some of the finer things in life any more that she could, such as weekend jettings to exotic locales around the world, expensive clothing to wear, glittering gold jewelry, and parties in the Bahamas, and all, she did enjoy the domestication of home life whenever she was around at one of his 3 mansions. Whenever she bothered to be there, of course. Sure, her home life in his mansion as his pretty wife was at least somewhat all right. He enjoyed conversation with her, reminiscing about his past and his life, and it was something that Jacklyn kind of thought was fun for a bit, but ultimately didn't enjoy. His elder age made him something that she just frankly didn't enjoy all that much. He was slow, plodding, thoughtful, and above all stingy with his money. What good was being a millionaire when he spends his money like he was living paycheck to paycheck and counted all of his pennies? Oh, there were things that Jacklyn had to do to beg for even a few $1,000s in her purse. Things that she wasn't exactly proud of to coerce her husband into forking over the cash into her own personal bank account. Smiles, doe eyes, kisses and hugs were all of course par for the course of wifely duties, and whenever she left his side she gagged and drank herself on champagne and wine to dull her senses. But at least she had what she desired. Though as time went on, she found herself more and more hoping that this marriage at least would end. He started this marriage at 76, but soon that passed to 78, and soon enough Pierre's 80th birthday loomed on the horizon. Each passing year, she was certain he would die, and each year that came on his birthday he'd grow more and more withered and decrepit yet still cling to life. Worst of all was the fact that every charity venture he went on, he brought her with him. You'll see what good money is for. He'd often tell her when she tried to hide the eye roll from him. What good is millions when you can't take it with you when you pass on? Your legacy is what matters, and the people you help will be remembered for years afterwards. She disliked these special together moments. To see the poor come with palms open for a hand out. To eat watery soup fresh from a stock pot with nothing more than a bit of meat and vegetables in it. To satiate their hunger for a moment of comfort. Blech. The mud, the smell and the dirtiness of people was something that she wanted to quickly get away from. Her sneer plastered upon her face, she helped as much as she could before she'd get away. Eventually, though, Jacklyn would find herself daydreaming of the day that Pierre had finally died. The older he got, the longer he took to kick the bucket, the more her daydreams took on a violent means. What started as simply waking up to find him passed soon became thoughts of what would happen if one of the precious homeless he helped stabbed him in the ribs with a shank for a piece of bread. Soon those thoughts darkened more and more till eventually he did pass due to his age. Illness took him in the middle of the night when he slept, and Jacklyn outwardly wept for the death of her dearest husband, but silently, inwardly counted the days till his will was read after the funeral had ended, and she could take sole possession of his estate. She even thought of the next replacement she could marry, perhaps someone young, fit, handsome, and didn't care what she did. She saw at the funeral, though, the outpouring of the sadness that came with his death. There were the usual suspects, of course. Other millionaires who he had rubbed elbows with over the years. Business partners who took care of his money and managed his funds. Ex-wives who he had fallen out of love with, but who were still devoted to his legacy. So much for them that she'd get it all, of course. But what surprised her most were those that didn't personally know him. People from those charities. Those whose lives he had affected in a positive manner seemed to be there, or at least their representatives. She turned her nose at these people who came. What did they know of Pierre? Were they coming now for a handout before his corpse was even cold? She couldn't stand vultures that surrounded her meal when she had worked hard and long to get this far in life. She eagerly awaited the reading of the will in the office of his lawyer. There, the rest of the family that had spawned from Pierre was gathered. Ex-wives who were mourning, sons and daughters who kept their distance from Jacklyn, and also were sad at their father's death. Jacklyn sat there still, in her finest jewels and ornate dress, with fake tears streaming her beautiful still young face. The lawyer nodded to them all and read the will. To my dearest family, I leave you all the memory of me. I know that this will not bring all of you comfort, and for that I am sorry. I know that my life is nothing more than a poor gift to leave behind, now that I am gone, but fear not. I wish to leave you all at least something to keep you all safe till we meet again. For each of you, my wives and children, I leave nothing more behind than $100,000. It is nothing but a drop in the bucket compared to my millions, I know. However, you all know me. Humanity, charity, and the uplifting of our fellow humans was what I cared about. You all have the tools I gave you to live your lives comfortably, cleanly, and with your head held high. To my latest wife, though, please accept my apologies. I did my best with what time I had to show you a proper path in life. I took you with me to these charities and such to impart on you the wisdom of how other people and helping them is truly the greatest wealth and gift of all. I know you did not enjoy it, but I hope in time you see the value of these acts. We only have so much time in the world. Why not leave it with good memories? I love you all. Pierre Rostrom. Jacklyn was in shock at the message she had been given. The rest of Pierre's family nodded in acceptance, knowing that this was what it would have come to. For Jacklyn, though, a moment of anger flashed in her mind. How dare he? Yet, when she stopped, she saw that maybe he was right. So many people missed him now, and the charity he did gave him happiness. The money, it was nice, but the people whose lives he changed did end up for the better, and because of that they missed him. The rest of the family filed out. She was left to ponder this. Soon, she knew, she had to make a change before it was too late. To sell her jewels, her finery, and to take what was left of her, $100,000, and maybe start anew in the right way. Maybe she, too, could live like her husband and live for other people now. His legacy remained strong. She'd carry it now, too.